Every so often we come across games that decide to cut loose and have a little bit of fun, and do so at the expense of their peers. These can be fun Easter eggs poking fun at other games, games slyly mocking other titles, or even openly ridiculing them. Sometimes they're somewhat subtle, other times not so much. In this feature, we'll be taking a look at 15 of our favorite moments where games poked fun at other games. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid are the old guard of stealth games in our industry, and both franchises are very well aware of that fact, and both are sadly off on a break for now. For instance, Metal Gear Solid 2 allows players to hold enemies at gunpoint, at which point they'd goofily shake their bodies and drop some ammo. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory poked fun at this mechanic, with Sam holding a guard in his grips in one scene and demanding ammo, to which the guard glibly tells him,
"It's not like you can shake me and make my ammo fall on the floor to pick up."
Donkey Kong Country 2. Back during their peak years when Sega were providing stiff competition to Nintendo in the console market, the former would often brutally make fun of the Big N, with a distinct lack of subtlety. With Donkey Kong Country 2, Nintendo hit back, at least a little bit. In the Video Game Hall of Fame seen in the platformer, you can spot various Nintendo mascots, from Mario to Yoshi, but next to them is an empty pair of shoes that looks a lot like the pair worn by a certain blue hedgehog with a sign saying, "No Hopers," and a trash can right next to them. GTA 3. In the old-time conflict between GTA and Driver, for a great many people, GTA almost always comes out on top, because of the very simple fact that, unlike Driver, you could actually step foot outside of your car. GTA 3 was very much aware of this distinction, and didn't miss the opportunity to poke fun at it. The mission Two-Faced Tanner sees you being tasked with killing an undercover cop named Tanner, who's described as not only being pretty much useless on foot, but also as being strangely animated. Not a very subtle dig at Driver. GTA San Andreas. But Driver isn't the only open-world competition GTA has ever mocked. There was no shortage of GTA clones back during the day, and one of the more prominent ones was True Crime. GTA San Andreas took potshots at this series with an in-game sanitation business called True Grime Street Cleaners. In fact, if you typed in the cheat code True Grime, it spawned a Trashmaster. Uncharted. The PS3 and Xbox 360 generation was notable for bringing about HD visuals, but the visuals of that generation were notable for one more thing: being overly brown. From Rage to Gears of War to Killzone 2 to Red Faction Guerrilla and so many others, games of that generation had a weird fascination with brown visual palettes. Uncharted, on the other hand, wasn't, but it wasn't averse to making fun of those brown games. The first title in the series shipped with an unlockable next-gen filter. Turning it on took away the game's bright and vivid graphics and replaced it all with a blanket of brown. Left 4 Dead 2. Zombies were all the rage back in the day, and I guess they kind of still are. And during the previous generation, the two most popular game franchises with zombies in them were Left 4 Dead and Dead Rising. But while Left 4 Dead zombies were crazed and agile, Dead Rising's were more traditionally slow. Left 4 Dead 2 even had an in-game message scrawled on a wall that directly called out Frank West, saying that the man couldn't survive in the face of zombies that were much faster and clearly more dangerous. Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem Forever is no one's favorite game, to put it mildly, and a huge part of that is its unfunny, try-hard, obnoxious humor. But it did get one or two few good jokes in every now and then. For instance, this dig at the Master Chief's power armor. In the mission Vegas in Ruin, Duke is told by an EDF soldier that his green power armor, which looks exactly like the Chief's suit, is ready and waiting for him. Duke disdainfully tells him that a person of his prowess has no need for power armor, and goes into the battlefield decidedly unarmored. Saints Row 4. There's an entire mission in Saints Row 4 called The Case of Mr. X that basically exists only to poke fun at Metal Gear Solid. From references to Solid Snake, to jokes about the iconic box Snake uses to hide from guards, to the way guards get alerted with exclamation points above their heads, and a great deal more. This is one mission Metal Gear fans will find a lot of familiar stuff in. Stanley Parable. One of Stanley Parable's endings is called Game's Ending, which sees you visiting various worlds from other games. One of these worlds is Minecraft. From mining to building to remarks about games being completely open-ended, Stanley Parable makes every joke it can about the wildly popular game during this sequence. Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2's entry in this feature is more unusual than all of the others, because the game it makes fun of is its own predecessor. How exactly? Well, as you might remember, John Marston in Red Dead Redemption 1 was an absolutely terrible swimmer, as bad in water as a fish is on land. Red Dead Redemption 2 takes every chance it gets to poke fun at Marston for his inability to swim. Matt Hazard 3D. Matt Hazard 3D is a game that is brimming with parodies, from everything from Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil to Halo and Mario. Another game that it makes fun of is Duke Nukem. The protagonist of the game himself, in fact, is mocking Duke pretty directly, with his background of a popular action hero who's no longer relevant and is struggling to make a comeback. Deadpool. Of course, Deadpool makes fun of, well, just about every game ever, and does so in the most typically Deadpool fourth wall breaking moments. From tropes like, pull that lever to open that gate, to, oh look, exploding barrels, and just about everything we've come to take for granted in games over the years, Deadpool is constantly making fun of it all. Dying Light. Remember the days of weird sponsorship deals that made no sense? Activision were at the forefront of that, and one game that saw them pulling that trick was the first Destiny, which would reward players with XP boosts for buying specially marked Red Bull cans. Open-world zombie title Dying Light mocked that in spectacular fashion, promising free premium weapons to anyone who'd post a picture of themselves drinking water. Infamous 2. The Red Ring of Death is something that all Xbox 360 owners were aware of and dreaded. Infamous 2, in fact, was well aware of that, and mocked it in pretty hilarious fashion. One particular store is called Red Ring Electronics, and has a logo that looks a whole lot like the dreaded Red Ring of Death, with a sign in the window saying all system repairs in only 12 weeks, with a disclaimer that results are far from guaranteed. Postal 2. Postal as a series made a name for itself for its in-your-face, over-the-top slapstick humor, and for having descended into new depths of terribleness with its third game, but that's besides the point. In Postal 2, in fact, there's a sign that very clearly mentions Psychonauts 2 and proclaims it as a game that will squeeze out trusting fans for years to come. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.